Hello everybody, welcome to day 2. For anyone that's just joining us today, I am speaking about anxiety and overcoming limiting beliefs and just giving some of my experience and tools over the next few days. Just because I have found since opening up about this, there's a lot of people that are going through it or do at some point in their life. So I've had some lovely inbox messages already from people that are finding this helpful. So even if there's 2 or 3 people that are gaining from me doing this, then it's definitely worth my time. So my 1-year-old has gone down for his nap, so fingers crossed we'll have at least 10 minutes together today. So today what I wanted to speak about is maybe thinking about triggers and also about self-sabotage. We're going to talk a little bit about finding time for you and having a little bit of self-love. And then we're going to talk about why healthy is the new happy at the end as well. So to get started today, the first thing I want to talk about is triggers. And again, as I said yesterday, I am not a counsellor. I am not a doctor. All I can talk about is my own experience and what has helped me. So everyone is different, but obviously go get professional opinions on all of this. But for me, when I was kind of at my worst with it, I didn't want to go down the medication route. I'm all for holistic therapies, and also I knew that if I did go down that route, when I came off that, if something in my life happened of a negative state, then I would probably go back to the same place again. So I wanted to build myself up from the inside just for everyday life. So even if you don't suffer or have never suffered with anxiety, there's going to be times in your life where you're overworked, you're overstressed, you might be having conflicts with somebody, you might be going through a tough time in your job, in your business, maybe you're a new mum and you're just trying to get used to all the sleep deprivation, and there's all these different things that come up in our life, isn't it, that we're faced with. So it's just having some tools, but also be aware of triggers. So when I think back to the times when I had my most major panic attacks, I started to look at those scenarios and what had I been doing in the days leading up to it, and there seemed to be a pattern of triggers, but also be aware there's a very big difference between suffering with anxiety and just stressing out a bit about a situation. Anxiety can come at its worst when there's actually nothing wrong in your life. So there'd be times when I'd be really struggling with anxiety and waking up with it, and it would just accelerate throughout the day, but actually there was nothing wrong in my life. There was no job worries, no money worries. I loved what I was doing. And that's when it's hard for people, when you can't figure out, why am I feeling like this, when actually there's nothing wrong. So looking for triggers was one of the first things I did. So one of the triggers for me was definitely caffeine, and I'm very aware of this now. If I was to have 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee in a day, that would probably cause a panic attack. So looking for a trigger in caffeine. So just have a think about that for yourself. Obviously alcohol, it's depressant, so that's quite a straightforward one, but we do tend to almost self-sabotage ourselves, don't we? Because we're feeling a bit down and stressed about something, so then we'll go get a bottle of wine, and then we feel actually a lot worse about it. So caffeine is one of my biggest triggers. I can have 1 or 2 cups of coffee in a day, that's fine, but any more than that and I start to feel heart palpitations, and then it might be the trigger that the heart palpitations from the caffeine reminds me of when I had very bad anxiety, and then that triggers it off. So maybe just think about, and we'll speak about this at the end, like making a plan, having a bit of a call to action. Where could you make small changes? So look out for triggers for you. Sleep deprivation. I totally feel anyone out there that's sleep deprived. I would say the last year being a mum of 3, although it was probably one of the most wonderful years, it was one of the hardest because none of my kids were sleeping very well. We've had people swapping bedrooms and all sorts, trying to figure it out. But 4 or 5 hours a night just became the norm. But when it was any less than that, then I was finding it very hard to cope with myself. So I've had to be I've had to really look after myself, because what would you do naturally in that scenario? You'd go to the coffee, wouldn't you? The coffee, the sugary foods, and that would make me feel 10 times worse. So actually becoming a health and wellness consultant has helped me so much, because it's educated on looking after me and then being able to help other people with that as well, just by making small changes. So think about, are you self-sabotaging in some way? Is there any trigger that might be affecting you? And if you do drink a lot of coffee, it doesn't have to be coffee, it can be things like Coca-Cola, energy drinks. Oh, please don't drink any of this stuff. Okay, it's a treat now and again, but they're just full of synthetic nasties. Even if you're drinking the diet stuff, it's full of aspartame and sweeteners, which are just not good for you. So definitely cutting out things like that make a massive difference, not only to your mindset but to your general health as well. So I used to live on Lucozade as a dance teacher years ago, and when I look at like the calories in it and all the ingredients now, it horrifies me, but it was just to keep me going. But then looking back, it's like, that's when I probably wasn't in my best place. So cutting out things like that. The next thing I want to talk about today, and there's only a few points, would be a little bit of self-love. And this is something I really briefly touched on yesterday. But what I want you to think about, you might be able to relate to this, is when do you take time for yourself, and what do you do that you enjoy just for the pure love of it? Because for a long, long time, I was either in full-on mummy mode, because I pretty much have been a full-time mum for 4-5 years now, because I started to come out of my teaching work and my agency when my son was kind of 1 going on 2. So I have been a fully present parent since then, which I love. But then when I'm not being a fully present parent, I'm quite often building my business. So there's something wrong there, because when was the time for me, just me, doing something even for an hour that I loved? And I love building my business. It feels like I'm socializing anyway, but sometimes you do need to step back and do something that is purely for you, that you enjoy. And I had another realization of this recently. So as some of you have known me a while, I've had my hair chopped off, literally. It was almost down to my bum at the back. I went to the hairdressers a few weeks ago, and I put he was 13 months old at the time, I put Zachary into the kids hub in Driffield, which is amazing, down at the Health Hub gym. And he went in there for an hour, and I went and got my hair cut. And I had this realisation, that was the first time probably, I've had like a few weekends away with my business, like conferences and that type of thing. But that was the first time in about 13 months that I'd really just done something that wasn't work related and that wasn't child related. So just that hour sat in the hair salon by myself was just amazing. And I even said to Mel, my hairdresser, I went, gosh, I need to do this more often. So since that day, I've made a real effort with myself to book things in. So obviously I do get up earlier now, and I have an hour to myself in the morning, and I do my meditation and yoga and that stuff, and that has helped me enormously, and I know it's helping everyone that jumps on live with me. But just little things like, what could you do, even if it's 1 hour a week, that is not related to your work, it's not related to being a mum, and it's not related to building your business? Could you go to a yoga class, a Zumba class, just going for a walk? Do you enjoy doing something like painting or crafts or sewing? There must be something that you loved doing when you were younger. Something I'm really craving right now, because I always played the piano growing up, is playing the piano. I've been listening to quite a lot of not exactly classical, but like contemporary classical music, because I'm teaching contemporary dance at the moment with teenagers, and it's just made me really miss the pleasure I got from sitting at my piano growing up. I'd just take myself off into the conservatory, sit on the piano for an hour, and just kind of forget about the world. So what is that one thing that maybe you've let subside that you could bring back in just for 1 hour a week, and just do it, because you will be better in your job, better in your business, better as a parent 100% if you take that time and do something. It's hard if you are on this and you are a new mum, because I couldn't really go anywhere without my son for 10 months because I was feeding him. So it's trickier to do that. But if you're not in that situation, then take some time for you. Give yourself a little bit of self-love. And if you're not doing anything like that as well, and you purposely avoid it, like that's starting to look at maybe your self-worth. Maybe you don't feel you're worthy of that, or you should be doing something else, or you should always be working, or you're feeling guilty towards the kids. Like, you will honestly be a better parent for them, because you'll come back refreshed, you'll be in a higher, more positive place, and in your relationships and everything, they'll really see a difference in you. So exercise, we know scientifically it makes us feel better. I am just absolutely full of energy when I come back from doing my 1 hour teaching class, because not only am I exercising, but I'm inspiring and I'm seeing other people develop and feel fulfilled and getting a sense of achievement. And that's exactly the same in my business. That's what I witness every day in people and help them overcome obstacles. You know, it's not always easy growing a business. It'd be weird if it was, but find something that, just to give yourself some self-love and time for you. And the last thing I want to talk about today really is talking about your mood and your mindset in relating to nutrition. So I touched on things like triggers like caffeine, energy drinks, alcohol at the beginning. But what I didn't realise is that 70% of serotonin, so if you know anything about serotonin, it's your happy hormone. You know, your levels of serotonin as they change can dramatically change your mood and, you know, cause anxiety and depression. So it's a scientific thing, but 70% of it is produced in the gut. In the gut, not in your brain, in your gut. So what you are feeding yourself and fueling yourself is going to dictate your mood and how you feel. So I think sometimes it's too easy for people to be given medication, whereas they need educating on nutrition and how to live that lifestyle so that they can feel better and obviously use the medication as well, but there's other ways that we can, in addition to that, to help people. So think about, what are you fueling your gut with every day? You know, if you've had a big weekend, you've been to a party, you've drank lots of alcohol, you've then ordered a takeaway the next night, how do you feel for the few days after that? Because when I used to do that, like most weekends, I would feel rubbish till about Wednesday. I'd feel run down, I'd feel lethargic, my anxiety wouldn't be great. And then by Wednesday, I'd start to pick up again and be like, oh yeah, Michelle's back. And then I'd do it all again the next weekend. So think about what you're fueling your gut. Is your gut happy? The gut is the hub of your health as well. Everything that happens to us, what's showing up on your skin, your hair, your organs, everything going on in the body, usually it starts with the gut. So good digestive health is key. And obviously, as some of you know, I do run a 30 Days to Healthy Living and Beyond program, which the 30-day program, which educates people so for life they have those skills that they can take onwards for them. So let me know if you want any information on that. But yeah, thinking about gut health is massive when it comes down to mood and mindset. So that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on today. I think what I'll talk about tomorrow, maybe your morning ritual, maybe what you could do within your morning, maybe getting up just 20 minutes earlier and the massive impact that can have on your mindset. And again, even if you've never suffered with anxiety, this is for anyone that wants to be feeling happier, more energetic, or wants to be successful in what they're doing. It's one of the key things that Forbes magazine wrote about, that all top people in the game, top athletes, top CEOs, they all have a good morning ritual. So how you start your day will impact your whole day. The first 20 minutes of your day is when your subconscious and your mind is most acceptable of what you're putting in there. So if you're waking up and starting the day and flicking the news on, that's not good. I don't watch the news at all now, and I know that sounds a little bit being a bit ignorant to the world. I know what's going on in the world because it's all over social media anyway. You can't hide it, but I don't purposely sit and watch the news. I don't sit and read newspapers at all, because that puts me in a negative space. The stuff on the news today, you know, it's horrifying, isn't it? They need a news channel that talks about all the positive things going on in the world. I think that'd be really nice, just to have a news channel that talked about the good things, you know, the way people were giving back and charity. But the news primarily focuses on negative, horrific things. And if you're starting your day by feeding your mind that, no wonder you feel anxious and down and unmotivated during the day, because that's what you've just put in your mind first thing. So as a little kind of call to action, like making a plan, think about these things. What could you change? And tomorrow will help you very much with your morning routine. But think about, can you stop for 7 days? So here's a challenge. Inbox me or comment if you're going to do the challenge. But just try these things for maybe 5 to 7 days. Don't watch the news. Don't read a newspaper. maybe try cutting down your caffeine, if not cutting it out altogether. And maybe cutting out, if you do tend to have a drink or two each night, cut that out too. And then just really focus on your nutrition and what you're eating. You know, try and take out the processed food and the refined sugars. Even soy I avoid, because that's processed and you know, can promote estrogen and things like that. So have a real focus and think, okay, for the next 5 days, I'm going to try and eat some nice clean meals. If you need advice on that and recipes, let me know. I'm going to cut out some of those toxins, and I'm going to stop watching the news and reading the newspapers. And try and book something in that's nice for you to do, whether it's going for a walk, going to do a yoga class, going to have coffee with friends. Not coffee, go have a herbal tea with friends. Or if you know what they are, go have a fit stick with your friends. Energy and without the nasties. So yeah, just have a little play around for the next few days and see how different you feel. You know, hormones have a massive impact as well for women. You know, we can't always control them, can we? But your food has a massive impact on your hormones. The amount of sleep you're getting has an impact on your hormones, and even the personal products you put on your body every day can impact your hormones. So if you don't have children waking up in the night, like myself, then make sure, you know, try and get at least 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours a night sleep. Take yourself off a bit earlier. You know, turn your phone off. I like to listen to an audiobook, you know, as I go to sleep, just to wind down so I can have a really good night's sleep until someone wakes me up. But I hope you found that helpful today. And I'll be back tomorrow to talk a little bit about a morning ritual, just so you can set yourself up for the day and kind of get yourself in that good place. So no matter what work or work colleagues or anything else is thrown at you, you'll be better prepared to deal with it. And that's the biggest thing I want to get across. Sometimes some of the things I post might come across a little bit airy-fairy. And obviously everyone puts the highlight reel on Facebook, don't they? I don't want to tell people, and people don't want to hear about maybe the bad things that are going on in life, because it happens to me, it happens to everybody. But so people do tend to put their highlight reel on social media, and that's fine. I love seeing positive posts and people doing well, and you know, let's congratulate and lift people up and support people that are doing that. But again, just know that you know, everyone's going through stuff, and everyone needs to prepare themselves so that not that it doesn't happen to them, but they can react in a better way and just find that kind of inner calm as much as they can with whatever life's throwing at them. So I hope you found that helpful. I'd love to hear from any of you. If you've got any questions, feel free to inbox me if you don't feel comfortable commenting, but feel free to share this as well with anyone that you think would find it helpful. And I'll see you all again tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Bye.